Do you have someone like this around you? When a friend goes through a breakup, they drop everything to stay up late comforting them, even helping send messages. When a coworker makes a mistake, they volunteer to work overtime to fix it, only to mess up their own tasks. Maybe you've done the same. Whenever someone's in trouble, you can't help but step in, as if you're saving the version of yourself who once needed help. Yet in the end, their problems remain unsolved, while you're left feeling guilty and worn out. This impulse to save others or take on too much responsibility isn't just kindness. It's what psychology calls the savior complex. For many who grew up lacking love, giving others the care they never received becomes a way to prove their worth. Believing that saving others can prove their worth, they end up hurting themselves, and may not really help anyone at all. What is the savior complex? The savior complex, also known as the Messiah complex, refers to a psychological pattern where a person unconsciously takes on the role of a rescuer in relationships. They become overly focused on other people's problems, often ignoring their own needs and limits, in order to feel needed or valuable. Simply put, people with a savior complex treat others' problems as if they were their own. For example, if a friend runs out of money, they'll offer to lend some even when they're struggling financially. If their partner is stressed at work, they'll give up their own hobbies to keep them company, or even take on tasks that should be the partner's responsibility. It's not that they don't love themselves. Deep down, they believe they're only worthy when they can fix others' problems. That being needed means being loved. It's important to note that the savior complex is different from normal, healthy helping behavior. Healthy helping means offering support within your limits and respecting the other person's wishes. For example, asking a friend what kind of help they need, and deciding what you can realistically do. The savior complex, on the other hand, goes beyond your capacity and disregards the other person's autonomy, like insisting on giving money to a friend who never asked for it. Saying, "If you don't take it, you're not really my friend." This kind of excessive, imposed rescue not only drains the rescuer, but can also make others feel pressured, and may ultimately harm the relationship. The psychological roots of the savior complex. Why are people who grew up lacking love more likely to develop a savior complex? It's not because they're naturally self-sacrificing, but because early experiences plant deep emotional roots. As adults, they unconsciously try to fill their own unmet needs by rescuing others. There are three main psychological causes behind this. 1. Early lack of love, seeking self-worth through being needed. People who grew up without enough love often missed out on emotional care and recognition in childhood. Their parents might have ignored their needs or only paid attention when they were obedient or helped around the house. Such an upbringing shapes a deep belief: I'm only loved when I'm useful, when I help others. According to self-worth theory and psychology, individuals develop their sense of value through approval and recognition from others. For those who lacked love early on, that recognition was absent, so they learn to equate being needed with being worthy. When they help others solve problems and see things improve because of their efforts, they feel that they matter, that they are valuable and deserving of love. For instance, a child who only received praise from their mother after doing housework may grow up seeking the same validation by helping friends or coworkers, even if it leaves them emotionally and physically drained. 2. The obsession with unfinished events. Trying to rewrite the past by saving others. Psychologist Kurt Lewin's theory of unfinished business suggests that unresolved regrets or unmet needs from early life can turn into lasting fixations. For those who lacked love, childhood often included moments when they desperately wanted to be rescued, but no one came. Maybe they were bullied with no one to protect them, or struggled alone while others turned away. These unresolved experiences leave a deep imprint. As adults, they may try to rewrite the past by rescuing others, as if helping someone else out of difficulty could symbolically heal their own childhood wounds. For example, someone who grew up poor and once longed to buy a favorite book but couldn't afford it, and no one helped, may later, as an adult, lend money to a friend who wants something they desire, or even buy it for them directly. Deep down, they're not just being generous. They're trying to soothe an old pain by giving others what they once needed most. But this kind of compensatory behavior rarely heals the past. Instead, It can trap them in a cycle of overgiving and quiet emotional exhaustion. 3. Blurred boundaries. Taking others' problems as their own responsibility. People who grew up lacking love often struggle with unclear personal boundaries. Unable to distinguish where their responsibilities end and others begin. In psychology, boundaries refer to the ability to clearly define what belongs to you and what belongs to others. Not taking on responsibilities that aren't yours, and not pushing your own onto someone else. However, those who lacked love in childhood often didn't develop healthy boundaries. Their parents might have constantly made them take responsibility for things that weren't theirs, or even blamed them for the parents' own problems. As a result, in adulthood, they unconsciously treat other people's issues as their own duty. For example, when a friend goes through a breakup, someone with healthy boundaries might simply listen, comfort, and offer gentle advice. But a person with a savior complex feels personally responsible for the friend's happiness, believing it's their job to fix things or make them feel better. They might drop everything to help their friend manage the relationship fallout, or even start looking for a new partner for them. This kind of over-responsibility is actually a sign of blurred boundaries. In the end, it only leaves them burdened with emotional weight that was never truly theirs to carry. Respecting others' destiny is the greatest form of self-redemption. People with a savior complex often believe they can help others get better. But in reality, their efforts are usually exhausting and thankless. Once one problem is solved, another soon appears. You can never finish saving someone. Sometimes, the other person doesn't even want to be saved, and your excessive involvement may actually push them away. In psychology, Alfred Adler proposed a concept called task separation. Its core idea is to distinguish between your own tasks and other people's tasks. Other people's struggles, decisions, and life choices belong to them. They are responsible for those outcomes, not you. You cannot make choices or bear consequences on their behalf. What you can do is respect their tasks and focus on your own. For example, if a friend goes through a breakup, whether they choose to reconcile or move on is their task. You can listen, comfort, and offer support, but you shouldn't make decisions for them, nor sacrifice your own work or life to constantly accompany them. Respecting another person's destiny doesn't mean being cold or indifferent. It means helping within your capacity while respecting their will. For instance, if a coworker makes a mistake, you might say, "I've encountered something similar before. Here's what helped me," instead of, "Don't worry, I'll fix it for you." If a friend faces difficulties, you can let them know, "I'm here if you need me," rather than forcing them to follow your way or take your advice. Only by distinguishing your own tasks from others can you free yourself from the burden of over-responsibility. This allows you to redirect your energy toward yourself, attending to your own needs and doing what's truly yours to do. For instance, if you used to spend all your time helping friends fix their relationship issues, you can now use that time to grow, learn, or simply enjoy being together, without centering everything around their problems. If you used to stay late helping coworkers finish their work, you can now leave on time, rest, and recharge, so you can show up in your best state. That is the true act of self-redemption, respecting others' destiny, while reclaiming your own life. How to let go of the savior complex. Letting go of the savior complex doesn't mean you stop helping others. It means learning to help wisely, with boundaries, without overstepping, and without losing yourself in the process. You can begin with 3 key steps. Step 1. Become aware of your savior complex. The first step is to recognize when you tend to slip into a savior mindset. The habit of feeling responsible for solving other people's problems. For example, when a friend shares their struggles, do you instantly start thinking about how to fix their situation instead of simply listening? When these thoughts arise, pause and ask yourself 2 questions. Is this really my responsibility? Am I helping this person for their sake, or because I want to feel needed and valuable? For instance, if a friend complains about being exhausted from work, that's not your responsibility. If you genuinely care about their well-being, you can listen and offer empathy. But if your real motivation is to feel important or useful, remind yourself, your worth isn't defined by fixing anyone's problems. Awareness is the first step toward change. Only when you notice when and how your savior complex shows up can you begin to shift it consciously. Step 2. Practice task separation. Know what's yours and what's theirs. When someone around you faces a problem, remind yourself, this is their task, not mine. For example, if a friend is short on money, how to earn or save is their responsibility. You can suggest finding a part-time job, but you shouldn't offer financial help unless they ask, and definitely not insist that they don't need to pay you back. If your partner is struggling at work, improving their skills or communicating with their boss is their task. You can listen, discuss, and provide emotional support, but it's not your role to apologize to their boss or do their work for them. At first, you may feel uneasy, as if stepping back means they'll suffer. But remember, every person must grow through their own experiences. Real growth comes from facing and solving one's own problems, not from being rescued. When your friend earns money through their own effort, it gives them far more pride than if you had lent them some. When your partner handles a work challenge on their own, it builds genuine confidence, something no one else can give them. Step 3. Prioritize yourself. Pay attention to your own needs. People with a savior complex often focus so much on others' needs that they end up neglecting their own. That's why learning to put yourself first is essential. To listen to your feelings, meet your own needs, and stop sacrificing yourself just to keep others happy. For example, if you used to stay up late helping a friend revise their project, you can now say, I'm a bit tired tonight and need to rest. Why don't you work on it first? And we can review it together tomorrow? If you used to take on your friend's responsibilities, you can say, I have a few things I need to take care of today. You can give it a try first. And if you really get stuck, we can figure it out together later. At first, you might worry that putting yourself first is selfish. But it's not. You can only truly help others when you're in a good state yourself. When you're well rested, you'll have more patience and clarity to support your friend. When you take care of your own life first, you'll have more energy and presence to share with your loved ones. Taking care of yourself isn't neglecting others. It's the foundation for helping them in a healthy way. If you have a savior complex, it actually means you're a kind person. Someone who truly wants to help others out of their struggles and hopes the people around them can live better lives. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to understand this. You don't have to prove your worth by saving others. And you don't have to carry their responsibilities on your shoulders. Your value has never depended on being needed. You are worthy of love simply because you exist. Even if you don't fix other people's problems, you are still important, still enough. And remember, other people's destinies are not yours to control. Everyone has their own path to walk, and even their difficulties are part of their personal growth. May you find the strength to put down the burden of being a savior. To stop over responsibility, stop self-sacrifice, and start giving more love to yourself. Focus on your own growth, meet your own needs, and live in a way that feels true to you. After all, you are you first, before you are someone's friend, family, or partner. When you take good care of yourself, everything around you naturally begins to flourish.